Welcome to the deep dive. We take a stack of sources, articles, research our own notes, and basically pull out the key insights for you.
Yeah, think of it as your shortcut to getting, really informed on a topic
Yeah.
quickly.
And hopefully with a few interesting bits along the way. So today we're doing a deep dive into Napoleon Hill's later work,
That's right. His 1967 book, Grow Rich with Peace of Mind.
which is kind of a follow-up, isn't it, to his mega famous Think and Grow Rich.
Exactly. And our sources for this dive are excerpts directly from Grow Rich with Peace of Mind.
Okay, so what's the mission here? What are we trying to figure out?
Well, basically how Hill's thinking on success and wealth evolved, he puts this big new emphasis on inner peace in this later book.
Right. So what's that all about? And importantly, how does it apply to, your quest for knowledge, for achievement, listener?
Perfect. Now, for anyone maybe not super familiar with Hill, born into poverty, 1883.
Humble beginnings, yeah.
Eh.
But he became this huge figure in personal success thinking.
Advisor to Andrew Carnegie, even FDR. Interviewed all these titans of industry.
And boils it down into this philosophy of success. Think and grow rich being the most famous outcome, obviously.
But Grow Rich with Peace of Mind is different. He wrote it when he was 84.
Wow, 84. So a lot of life experience packed in there.
Definitely. And he's very upfront about wanting readers to learn from his mistakes. There's a real reflective quality.
So key themes we'll hit today.
Learning from the past, definitely. Positive mental attitudes, still core Hill. Living without fear. And interestingly, sharing your wealth.
Okay, let's dig in. First up, knowing your own mind, living your own life. This seems foundational.
It really is. Hill gets personal right away. He talks about needing an unlisted phone number just to get some peace and quiet.
Just to sleep. That really says something, doesn't it? About prioritizing peace over constant, public demand.
It does. And he observed that really successful people, sooner or later, figure out how to live life on their terms.
And it's better if you figure that out sooner, right?
Yep. Huge advantage, he says. He calls having power over your own mind the creator's prerogative. Meaning it's your fundamental right and ability to think for yourself, set your own goals.
And achieve abundance, but not just money, right? Abundance with peace of mind. They go together.
Exactly. It's not one or the other. It's both.
Which really makes you think, how do you, listening right now, define success? Is peace of mind part of your equation?
It's a great question. Because Hill argues it has to be for true, complete success.
He uses his own childhood to illustrate this, how belief can change everything. He was labeled a problem child.
Yeah, apparently everyone thought he was headed for trouble. Except his stepmother.
Right. She saw something different. Intelligence, but needing direction.
A worthy objective, she called it.
Yeah.
And her belief, well, it changed his whole trajectory.
It's amazing how powerful that can be, someone just believing in you.
And that connects straight to the famous Andrew Carnegie interview. That wasn't just a quick chat.
No, it was intense. Days long, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it basically set Hill on his life's mission to figure out the secret of successful achievement.
Which led to the whole science of personal achievement organization. All from that spark with Carnegie.
And we see this theme of holding on to your own mind in other stories, too. Like Madame Schumann-Heink, the opera singer.
Oh, yeah. The expert told her she had no talent, should just do needlework or something.
Exactly. But she just refused to accept it. Held on to her own belief.
And became world famous. It's that inner conviction, isn't it? Against the odds, against the expert.
Absolutely. Trusting yourself. Then there's his work with Manuel L. Quezon.
First president of the Philippines. Hill basically coached him using these principles.
Taught him the science of personal achievement. Setting definite goals, time limits, daily affirmations. Applying it at a national level.
Wow. And these principles clearly work for others too. W. Clement Stone.
Classic example. Built a huge insurance business starting with, what, $100?
And a copy of Think and Grow Rich. Found his direction early and just went for it.
Relentlessly. That's the key takeaway from Stone, I think. That early direction plus unwavering belief.
Then there's Arnold Reed and Great Commonwealth Life Insurance, another big turnaround story.
And Reed flat-out credits Think and Grow Rich and the science of personal achievement. Right? Saved his life even.
Shows the real-world impact these ideas could have.
And what Hill noticed in people like Henry Ford was this thing he called success consciousness.
Explain that. It's not just being smart, right?
No, not about IQ or formal education. It's this, intense, laser focus on achieving big goals, a specific mindset.
Like how Ford financed his car company, not through banks, but
By getting his distributors to pay up front. Genius, really. That's success consciousness in action, finding unconventional solutions.
And it's not just historical figures. Hill gives a modern example, too. Merlin Mittelson
Yeah, starting a memory core company in his basement. Minimal cash.
saw a need in the early computer age and just did it. Shows opportunity is timeless if you have the mindset.
Right. And maybe the most touching story is him helping that homeless man.
Yeah, helping him develop that success consciousness, shifting his mindset.
Getting him to believe he could sell cookware, build a small business.
And he did. It really shows how fundamental that positive mental attitude is no matter where you start.
Hill also talks about building spiritual defenses, like mental walls.
Kinda, yeah. Like an inner castle keep. A place in your mind to retreat, recharge, protect yourself from negativity.
Interesting metaphor. Helps maintain that inner peace we keep talking about.
And he saw adversity not as a roadblock, but as a tonic.
Yeah, something that strengthens a success-conscious mind. He believed this mindset could overcome huge things, even world wars, with focus and deadlines.
And this belief in success is contagious.
He thought so. Someone with that strong success consciousness can actually spark it in others who've maybe given up.
Okay, powerful stuff. Let's shift gears, the next big theme. Closing the doors on your past.
Crucial. Hill gets personal again, talk about his partnership with Don Mellett.
That ended tragically, right? Mellett was killed.
Yes. And it seemed like a total disaster for Hill's plans for the science of personal achievement. But ultimately, looking back, he saw how it led to greater good down the line. That pattern again.
Finding the unexpected benefit in loss. Like Lincoln, too.
Exactly. Lincoln faced so much personal tragedy, political defeat, but he chose not to let it define him.
He kept moving forward. It's a conscious choice, isn't it?
Absolutely. Hill even talks about a past romance, realizing years later that not marrying that person was actually a huge benefit.
Hindsight is 20/20, I guess. But it reinforces his idea that every adversity has within it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit.
He believed that profoundly, and he applied it even to things people see as handicaps, like Edison.
Limited schooling, deafness.
Right, but Edison said his deafness was a help. Saved him from chatter, let him hear from within. It's about reframing.
Perspective shift. Like Arthur Damasio turning his dad's failed mobile home business around.
Yeah, saw a market need, innovated, made it a huge success, turning past failure into future triumph.
Hill even talks about losing his own big estate in the '29 crash. You'd think that would be devastating.
And it was, initially. But then he felt relief, realized the burden of worry it carried.
While his friends who lacked that faith in finding benefit after loss, well, it didn't end well for them.
No, sadly. It underscores how vital that mindset is.
He's also really strong on integrity, isn't he? Prioritizing peace of mind over dishonest gain.
Absolutely. The butcher's hand on the scale analogy, those small cheats just aren't worth the inner turmoil.
But what if you have made mistakes? Dishonest ones, can you recover?
Hill says yes. You consciously close the door on the past. Treat it as a lesson learned.
Like O. Henry, the writer, found his voice after prison.
Exactly. A genuine transformation. He contrasts that with Al Capone trying to fake benevolence. It has to be real.
So the past shapes us, obviously, but we control how it shapes us.
That's the key, our agency. And closing that door on the past is a habit you cultivate.
He also gives practical advice here, like going the extra mile at work.
Yeah, doing more than just the bare minimum. He argues it helps dissolve resentment and opens up unexpected opportunities.
Like the printing estimator who became an executive.
Right. Just by consistently delivering more value. It connects back to that mental attitude, choosing positivity.
We have these control levers, he says, to shift our mindset.
Provided by the Creator, in his terms. Tools to choose optimism.
He tells a story about a man who lost everything, but found peace by forgiving someone.
And starting over with positive motives, even at age 60. It's never too late.
He also has this concept of spiritual princes. What's that about?
It's like a mental tool, personifying desired states like a prince of peace of mind or prince of sound physical health. Helps you focus your intention.
Interesting technique. And he ends this part with a story about a bookkeeping error.
Yeah, a chance for him to pocket a lot of money. But he chose integrity, peace of mind, over the cash. Walks the talk.
Okay, next big one. Living life free of fear. This feels central to the peace of mind aspect.
Totally. He talks about 7 positive motives and 2 big negative ones. Anger and fear. Those are the peace robbers.
And those princes of guidance are meant to help ward off those negative influences.
That's the idea. And he lists a whole slew of physical and mental problems often linked to a mind fighting itself, full of fear.
urging us not to dwell on illness, but to cultivate belief in health, because the mind tends to manifest what it focuses on,
Exactly. Then he tackles specific fears. First, fear of poverty.
which he says kills courage. The mind can achieve desires, but not when crippled by fear.
Right. Faith becomes key here. Faith sustains health, helps healing, counters fear.
Then fear of criticism.
Another big one. Can paralyze even brilliant people. Think how many successful folks had to push past naysayers.
Fear of ill health, the self-fulfilling prophecy idea again.
Worrying about it can actually bring it on, he suggests. Same with fear of loss of love.
Acting needy or jealous because you're scared often pushes people away, right?
Precisely. Then fear of old age. His take is quite positive here.
Yeah, nature compensates with wisdom, experience. Focus on the potential of later years.
And finally, fear of death. He says it's mostly fear of the unknown.
His advice: focus on living well now. Don't worry about definitive answers on the afterlife from people who, well, don't actually know.
Right. Live fully in the present. He uses that powerful analogy. Fear is prayer in reverse.
Attracting the negative, while positive prayer, faith, attracts the good stuff.
And he keeps hammering home. The mind's power is immense, almost limitless, but only when it's free from fear.
And those later years can be the best years, he insists. Wisdom makes up for lost youthful energy.
Just stay busy living, he says. That keeps the fear of death away.
Okay, moving on to sharing your riches. This isn't just about money, is it?
No, it starts with the idea that anything robbing your peace of mind, chasing money too hard, having more than you can handle, robs your real wealth.
He values money earned through good work, wants young people to learn the value of labor.
And strongly advises saving. Always save a percentage.
The key is mastering money, not being mastered by it. Avoid showing off. Avoid constant fear of losing it.
And if material things conflict with your peace of mind, let the things go. Peace comes first.
He gives practical tips for saving too. Cut small, pointless expenses. Find cheaper ways to enjoy life.
Says your ability to save actually reflects your character, your self-discipline.
Then he brings in the law of compensation. Again, give more, get more back.
Yes, and often multiplied. The universe balances the books, essentially.
Like Edward Choate selling war bonds. Gave 80% of his time, no pay.
And later, huge business came his way from people who remembered his selfless service. Compensation.
He applies this to business too. Give customers more value than just the product price. Build relationships.
And he notes the relatively new idea back then of good employer-employee relations, sharing the success.
Arthur DeCiccio pops up again, talking about the sheer abundance of opportunity in his time.
Yeah, population growth, rising incomes, reinforcing that there's enough to go around if you contribute positively.
He'll even suggest taking workers into partnership in capitalism, a way to spread wealth more widely.
And this sharing principle extends right into the home. That's where true successful living shows up.
Love, cooperation, sharing. Not a boss mentality. He contrasts rich homes lacking this with poorer but happier homes full of it.
Lack of openness, especially about finances between spouses, is really damaging, he warns. Share your day, share the money situation.
The story of Mr. A and Mr. B lending the lawnmower.
Perfect illustration. Giving of yourself, not just stuff, makes you bigger, builds connection, and compensation follows.
So the takeaway is, look for ways to share everything. Time, empathy, skills, not just cash. Tune into human needs.
Exactly. Okay, next up, developing your own healthy ego. Now, ego can be a loaded word.
Right. He defines it as the self-assertive tendency, a vital mind spark plug. Not arrogance, but healthy self-belief.
Precisely. And he links that healthy ego directly to prosperity. Believing in yourself helps you achieve.
And this ties back to knowing your own mind, your direction. That's the foundation for a healthy ego.
Definitely. Then he gives these diagnostic questions about your childhood.
Yeah, about food being put down, labels, school, looks, home atmosphere, trying to find the roots of potential ego issues.
Right. Where might feelings of inadequacy have started? He gives the example of the salesman who felt too old.
His ego was shot, so he expected rejection, basically sabotaged himself.
Contrasted with Edison again. Deafness didn't crush his ego. His strong self-belief turned it into an advantage.
Hill talks about finding an ego builder, something specific that boosts your confidence, requires self-knowledge, right? Know thyself.
Critical. And the wild example is Ray, the guy who was told to buy a Cadillac and a mink coat for his wife.
As an ego prescription. And it worked.
Apparently. Boosted his confidence, he launched a successful business, shows the power of feeling successful to become successful.
Hill admits he's good at sensing ego needs, but still doesn't fully grasp the power that revitalizes a weak ego. It's profound.
He gives other examples, like insurance guys using fancy cars or big diamond rings as confidence props.
Tangible symbols to reinforce their own belief and project success.
Ultimately, he says, a good salesman sells through their ego, that belief in themselves and their offering. A handicap is only a drawback if your ego lets it be.
Okay, this next section is intriguing. Transmuting sex emotion into achievement power. What's he getting at here?
It's a bit esoteric, but core to his earlier work, too. He argues that personal magnetism, charisma, is rooted in fundamental life energy, which he calls sex energy.
Not just physical attraction, but a deeper life force.
Yes, and he observes that highly successful people often seem to have strong drives in general, including a strong sexual nature.
Suggesting a link between this primal energy and the drive to achieve.
That's the idea. He tells a story about a scruffy salesman who somehow closed a huge deal.
Implying maybe his inner drive, that transmuted energy, was more powerful than his appearance.
Possibly. And the guy who created the successful sermonette column tapping into human nature may be fueled by the same energy.
Billy Sunday, the evangelist, Tilla attributes his powerful preaching to this.
Yeah, people close to him felt his intense energy was his highly sexed nature channeled, transmuted into his sermons.
He sees this something extra in great performers, too. Musicians, artists.
Like Arthur Rubinstein. That spark, that magnetism,
Yeah.
he often connects it back to this successful transmutation of energy.
And it applies broadly. Politics, law, sports, even crafts. A bricklayer working with more intensity.
He suggests so. It's about channeling that fundamental drive into whatever you do. He mentions Dr. Elmer Gates generating ideas through intense focus.
Maybe related, this inner force, he even links it to the male-female duality of the universe. Deep stuff.
It is. He contrasts someone just focused on physical release with the potential unlocked by redirecting that energy into achievement, leading to self-mastery.
And he stresses the power of a loving relationship, how it sustains a man's career.
Suggesting the connection fuels more than just the physical. It fuels achievement, wealth creation.
But it requires conscious or unconscious transmutation, self-control, rising above pure instinct.
Exactly. It's a uniquely human capacity in his view.
Okay, next principle. Winning mighty aid from the eternal law of compensation. We touched on this with sharing.
Right. But here he broadens it. He recommends Emerson's essay on compensation as essential reading for peace of mind.
He shares his own story again, giving time freely during hard times.
And receiving compensation later, often unexpectedly, reinforces belief in unseen forces.
Choose the friendly forces, align with the positive.
And he talks about mind force, the power of thought to change your world. Echoing Emerson, thought moves mountains.
Thought precedes action. It's powerful. He mentions a third silent party to all bargains.
Yeah, representing universal fairness. Honest service will be repaid, often with interest. The universe keeps score.
So our own mind force can create the changes we want.
Absolutely. He ends with that cryptic story about his grandfather and distances, hinting at a deeper secret.
Which is belief, right? The power of belief. We'll get there. But first, you are very important for a little while. Intriguing title.
It is. He starts by urging us to be philosophers of our own lives. Harness that mind power.
Contrasts it with the guy bragging about stock market wins, lacking perspective on external factors.
Hill felt no fear when a cop rang his bell late. That inner peace, that perspective. Knowing most things aren't cosmic crises.
The core message. Ultimately, nothing matters. Sounds bleak, but it's not meant that way.
No, it's a tool for perspective. Not to devalue the present, but to reduce stress about things that, in the grand scheme, are fleeting.
Like possessions or a newspaper article forgotten tomorrow.
He uses Woodrow Wilson's despair over the League of Nations as an example. Tragic, but maybe that perspective could have helped.
He loves the title, I Write As I Please. Authenticity brings peace. He struggled with critics himself.
And holds up Elbert Hubbard as an ideal.
Yeah.
Lived on his own terms, found good in everything, achieved freedom, usefulness, happiness, peace.
So, view the cosmos without fear. Focus on the here and now for consequences and rewards. Very Emersonian.
Even giants like Rockefeller and Ford had to evolve, develop social awareness. Mentions a Rockefeller heir doing social work.
Then this master figure appears, revealing the jungle of life, the Black Forest.
Metaphors for necessary stages of spiritual growth, self-mastery, offering a blueprint for others.
And the master says individual triumph is celebrated on higher planes, guides you to your own mastership.
So the takeaway isn't nihilism, it's Focus on living well now. Avoid being meanly important about trivial stuff.
Use ultimately nothing matters to check yourself when you get too caught up in acquisition.
Right. Like Hubbard, be fearless, write as you please, live authentically. Fear is mostly unnecessary.
He hints at unseen guidance and overcoming 26 enemies for peace and abundance from this great school of the masters. Very mystical ending to that section.
It definitely gets more philosophical, even spiritual, later in the book.
Okay, penultimate chapter. Not too much, not too little. Starts with wealth potential being in the mind.
Yeah, the willingness to learn and apply methods. Contrasts old farming with modern knowledge-based agriculture. Huge difference in results.
That disparity exists globally. Shows mindset and knowledge create wealth. Wealth always begins in the mind.
He tells a story about a lawyer, a prayer for eviction relief, and the owner showing compassion, finding balance.
Justice and mercy. Not too little, not too much. Then the Ford anecdote about the sales manager demanding big money up front.
Yeah, Ford saw he hadn't proven his value yet. True worth shows itself through action, contribution. Give first.
Echoes Emerson again. Character reveals itself eventually. You can't fake genuine worth for long.
And peace of mind itself is a form of wealth, often missed by those just chasing money. It comes when you learn to give without expecting direct return.
The spirit of giving is limitless. He defines the golden rule. Treat others as you want to be treated. Focus on their needs. Find that balance.
Great wealth, he says, passes through the hands of people living by this principle, and true success must include happiness.
Then the incredible story about his son, Blair, born without ears.
And Hill's absolute unwavering belief that Blair would hear, using subconscious suggestion chiropractic.
And Blair developed auditory nerves, an astounding example of the power of belief.
Right up there with McVicker believing in his modeling clay when everyone doubted him, like Ford, Edison, Columbus. Driven by belief.
Hill then gives that practical 3-step process for implanting desire in the subconscious.
Right. Focused repetition, written and spoken, clear goal, deadline, what you'll give in return.
And crucially, it's the feeling, the emotion, not just words.
You have to feel it. He also advises talking to lots of people, finding those whose minds tune in to yours that boosts the subconscious drive.
And the final, vital step, act when the plan emerges. Don't just plant the seed, water it with action. Subconscious grows whatever you focus on, good or bad.
Exactly. Which leads perfectly into the final chapter, the magic power of belief.
The supreme secret, he calls it. Anything the human mind can believe, the human mind can achieve.
But it has to be true belief, not just a wish. Belief becomes the bedrock of your reality.
The subconscious is the hidden boss, running the show based on its current programming.
Pretty much. Even if you consciously want something else. But the good news is you can reprogram it, persuade it to change its standing orders.
Through that focused belief, he suggests the subconscious connects us to forces beyond our senses.
Yeah, limitless power. Explains things like miracles of healing, maybe even sleep learning, transmitting thoughts to the sleeping mind.
He then critiques traditional religion a bit, focusing too much on the afterlife, not enough on living well now.
That's his take. And he indicts civilization generally for focusing our immense thought power on fears rather than beliefs that bring positive results.
Cites scientists like Dunui and Bergson on humanity's potential to surpass limits through intelligence, the power of the brain.
We've advanced so fast compared to evolution. We're now responsible for guiding it, in a way.
Then enthusiasm and something more. Enthusiasm is vital, but not enough on its own.
Right. Communication without it is ineffective. With it, achievement can be total. He shares writing that enthusiastic letter, asking for advice.
And getting great replies from big names like Wanamaker, Vanderlip. Enthusiasm opened doors.
He explains the brain's positive-negative memory banks. One negative word can trigger a chain reaction, kill persuasion.
But pure enthusiasm can backfire, right? Like pushy salespeople causing buyer's remorse.
Exactly. You need something besides enthusiasm to offer. Knowledge, a genuine desire to serve. Understanding the other person's needs.
He gives job-seeking advice. Know the employer's business, offer a trial period, show you understand the job.
And don't just want a job. Know why you want this job. How does it fit your life goals?
Apply the same scrutiny to yourself. What value do you bring? Golden rule again.
The whole process, wanting, preparing, getting, works better with honesty, broad perspective, and that catalyst of enthusiasm.
He mentions following a negative with a positive in selling to shift feelings. Good selling is honest selling. Compromise your conscience, weaken your power.
So enthusiasm plus knowledge plus sincere desire to serve. That's the combo. Job seeking is just selling yourself, really.
And the final chapter. It is up to you to live the life the Creator gave you. Starts with his big idea for the Golden Rule Industries of America.
Yeah, a nationwide thing to fund good business ideas for honest people who lack capital and offer management help.
Maybe involve places like international correspondence schools for training.
He even envisioned a non-commercial radio TV station teaching personal achievement, self-reliance, wealth creation.
He tells about a visitor who loved the idea, saw it address the lack of peace in his own success.
But the visitor didn't follow through. Still, Hill felt the dream of cooperation and sharing was slowly becoming reality. That, he argues, is America's strength, not government handouts.
He criticizes rigid isms for limiting the human spirit, like walking in a narrow alley.
Because the Creator gave us control over our own thought. That power can't be taken unless we allow it.
He mentions his research finding 30,000 man-made gods.
Contrast that with his simpler understanding from his stepmother. The only real devil is someone creating devils in others' minds. Stop creating limiting beliefs.
He shares his father's faith, seemingly aiding his recovery from typhoid.
But Hill himself denies fear, says no one really knows about the ultimate spirit ruling the universe.
His concept of the Creator is an eternal intelligence. No fear needed, no intermediaries required.
The Creator's greatest gift, making us with the power to choose, a sense of good-bad, and freedom to use our minds.
The Creator helps us become our own masters, encourages independent thought, belief, big achievements. Failing to use these powers has consequences.
And then he summarizes the key principles we've covered. Positive mental attitude, freedom from fear, sharing, healthy ego, transmuting sex energy, law of compensation, balance, belief, enthusiasm with focus. All tools for wealth and peace of mind.
Wow. Quite a journey through his later thinking.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Grow Rich with peace of mind, it's clear Hill offers a more mature, holistic view of success here.
Yeah, really integrating inner peace as absolutely essential, not just a nice to have alongside the money and achievement.
Absolutely. The insights from these excerpts give you, the listener, a lot to chew on. Actionable ideas from a master, reflecting on a long life.
Which leads us to that final thought for you to ponder, given Hill's big shift in emphasis later in life.
How might prioritizing your inner peace change how you define success, how you pursue it?
And maybe what specific spiritual defenses could you build to protect that peace of mind as you go through life's ups and downs?
Really worth reflecting on how these ideas might fit into your own journey.
Take some time with it. See what resonates.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.